Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering that the government owes you thousands of dollars, not in loans, not in tax credits you have to wait months for, but in brand new economic savings and potential rebate checks tied directly to a plan that could change everything you know about the American economy. Because right now, former President Donald Trump is pushing a massive new proposal, one that could mean $14,000 in yearly savings for American families, plus powerful tariff rebates that could put real money back into your pocket. Whether this becomes reality or not, the details are staggering, the impact could be enormous, and the timing couldn't be more intense. Welcome back to USA Benefits Update, where we break down the truth, the numbers, and the stories that actually matter to your wallet. And today's story? This one is different. This could be one of the most aggressive economic plans in modern American history. But before you decide whether you support it or fear it, let's walk through the twists, the motives, the consequences, and the shocking potential outcome. Everything begins with a promise, one that has slowly evolved into a full strategy, bringing manufacturing back to America, lowering costs for families, and forcing massive corporations to stop outsourcing. Trump says he can accomplish all this through a combination of new tariffs and financial benefits aimed at American workers. But this time, the numbers are much bigger, the targets are much higher, and the country is far more divided. The $14,000 savings claim is what first grabbed everyone's attention. Imagine a family suddenly reducing their living costs by that amount each year. Trump's team says this would come from cheaper production inside the U.S., more jobs in American factories, fewer foreign-made goods flooding the market, and stronger economic pressure on countries like China. According to their projection, if the U.S. produces more and imports less, companies would have to drop their prices, wages would rise, and households would keep more money in their pockets. Is it true? That's the part the country is arguing over. Some economists say it's possible, others warn it's risky. But that hasn't stopped Trump from pushing forward with even bigger ideas, like a universal baseline tariff on imported goods, meaning almost everything brought into America would face a fee before entering the country. Those fees, Trump wants to turn them into rebates, real rebates, rebates that could go straight to Americans. This is where the story gets very interesting and a little shocking, because if these tariff rebates happen the way Trump describes, you could see money cycling back into your household from purchases you didn't even realize were eligible. Think about buying everyday items, clothes, electronics, appliances, even vehicles. A portion of the tariffs collected on imports could be redistributed to American consumers. It wouldn't be automatic cash handed out by the IRS, but more like savings and rebates triggered by the economic shift. But behind every big promise is a much bigger fight. And this plan, this $14,000 savings strategy, could spark one of the most intense economic battles in decades. Here's how it unfolds. Trump argues that for decades, foreign nations have taken advantage of America, undercutting prices, manipulating currency, and stealing manufacturing jobs. By slapping a tariff on nearly all imports, he says he can force companies to come home, create American jobs, flood the country with new factories, and dramatically boost wages. But tariffs don't just hit foreign companies, they hit American businesses too. Importers may raise prices, retailers may shift their strategies. Some products could become more expensive before they become cheaper. It's a gamble, and Trump knows it. That's why he's pairing tariffs with rebates and the promise of long-term savings. And this is where suspense builds. Because behind closed doors, corporations are already preparing for this scenario. Some are warning of price hikes. Some are exploring alternative suppliers. Some are starting early negotiations with factories inside the U.S. And others, quietly, are panicking. One insider recently described the atmosphere as controlled chaos. saying companies do not know whether to brace for impact or start preparing to bring operations back to American soil. Either choice comes with billions of dollars at stake. Now imagine this scene. CEOs sitting around long oval conference tables. Financial analysts projecting cost increases on huge screens. Teams calculating whether moving production from Asia to Ohio or Texas might suddenly be cheaper. Stock markets reacting instantly to every new statement Trump makes. Households pulling out calculators and wondering what all of this means for their groceries, gas, and rent. This is the kind of economic tension America is walking into. And for everyday people, retirees, workers, families, the question is simple. Will this help me or will this hurt me? Trump says it will help you in two major ways. First, he says the plan could save families $14,000 through lower prices and higher wages. If American factories reopen, if production increases, and if competition becomes internal rather than international, he believes prices will drop significantly. Second, he says Americans will benefit from tariff rebates. These rebates wouldn't arrive like stimulus checks. They'd function more like built-in financial benefits tied to the economy moving back inside U.S. borders. Here's an example he often gives. A company imports a product that costs $100 to make overseas, but with tariffs, that same product now costs $130. Instead of letting that tariff money disappear into government spending, Trump wants to redistribute a portion to American families to offset any short-term price changes. But here's the twist, a twist most people aren't hearing. If companies bring production back to the U.S., the tariffs disappear, prices drop again, wages stabilize or rise, and the rebates are no longer needed. In Trump's vision, the rebates are temporary, training wheels until America's manufacturing engine is self-powered again. But what if companies don't come back? What if they decide it's too expensive? What if they pass the costs on to consumers anyway? What if foreign governments retaliate? Those risks are real, and they're part of the story. And here's where another unexpected twist emerges. Some analysts believe foreign countries might try to negotiate deals with the U.S. to reduce tariffs. Others think companies might use AI, robotics, and lean manufacturing to reduce the cost of moving production back to America. This could trigger a new era of innovation, one that creates jobs and lowers prices across the board. Or it could create friction, leading to shortages or international disputes. Either path leads to dramatic economic change. That's why this plan is so powerful and so controversial. For millions of Americans, the promise of $14,000 in savings is life-changing. Imagine lowering your grocery bill, your energy bill, your transportation costs, your insurance, your everyday essentials. Imagine real relief, not temporary checks, not political promises, but actual, lasting economic breathing room. For others, the plan feels like a high-risk bet, a gamble with global consequences, a strategy that could either rebuild America's middle class or trigger widespread price increases before relief ever arrives. The truth? No one knows which path the country will take, but the stakes feel incredibly high. Picture this: a family sitting at their kitchen table, looking at their monthly expenses. A single mom wondering how to keep up with rising costs. A retiree deciding between medication and groceries. A young couple trying to buy their first home. A worker watching factories close in their town. For these people, economic plans are not political talking points, they're lifelines. And that's why Trump's proposal, whether you support him or not, has sparked such intense conversation. Because the core question isn't red or blue, it isn't Republican or Democrat, it's survival, stability, opportunity, a path forward for American families who feel like they've been squeezed for far too long. As the plan develops, we'll see more numbers, more charts, more projections. We'll see experts debating on TV, politicians arguing in Congress, analysts running economic models. But behind all of that, there's one truth you should never forget. Every major economic shift in American history began with a bold idea, a controversial proposal, and a public that wasn't sure which way things would go. Right now, we're in that moment again. We're watching the start of a plan that could reshape supply chains, change prices, rebuild factories, and put money back into the pockets of millions of Americans. And whether it becomes the biggest economic revival in decades or just another political promise depends on what happens next. But here's what you can count on. USA Benefits Update will be right here, breaking down every new detail, every update, every twist, and every major announcement so you know exactly how it affects your wallet, your household, and your future. So don't go anywhere. Stay connected, stay informed, and make sure you're subscribed to USA Benefits Update because the next few months might bring some of the biggest financial changes America has seen in years, changes that you deserve to understand and benefit from. And if this plan truly becomes reality, the savings, the rebates, and the economic transformation could be bigger than anyone expects. This is USA Benefits Update, and we'll see you in the next one.